Hello everyone, now we will go to the next concept, which is a very simple concept called as interest rate options. Friends, interest rate options, earlier in the chapter of options we knew that there are two types of options. One is called the call option and the other one is called as the put option. In call option, basically what we had was right to buy, and in put option we had something called as the right to sell. Alright, interest rate options is basically of two types. One is called right to borrow and the other one is called as the right to deposit. Fine friends, I'll show you one simple example so that this can become very clear to all of you. Alright friends, today's date is 1st Jan 2020. I want to borrow 100 lakhs at 10% after 1 year for 1 year duration. Okay. So I want to borrow on this date at how much percentage? 10%. Earlier I entered into an FRA. Now I will enter into an IRO or interest rate options. We also call it as IRG, interest rate guarantee, which is a right to borrow. Friends, when I call about a right to borrow means I can either exercise or I can lapse. Now if the actual rate turns out to be 6%, I will lapse the option and I will borrow at how much percentage? 6%. If the rate goes up to 12%, I will exercise the option and I will borrow at only 10%. This is in very simple language the meaning of the word interest rate options. Now friends, we will go to the next concept. The next concept is cap, collar, floor. Cap, collar, floor. Maybe I'll explain this with a simple example. Assume there is a person called Mr. Tension. Mr. Tension takes a lot of tension. He has now borrowed, let us say, at 10% floating rate. So floating rate means it will keep on changing. Next day morning, it goes up to 11%. Happy or sad? He will be sad. Next day morning, 12%. Happy or sad? Sad. Next day morning, 15%. Happy or sad? Very, very sad. That is when one other friend of his will come whose name is Mr. Helper. Mr. Helper will go and tell to Mr. Tension, Mr. Tension, do not take tension. Now onwards, I am there. If the rate of interest goes above 12%, whatever loss comes beyond 12%, I will bear the loss. Or this scenario is what we call it as a cap. So here, Mr. Tension has taken a cap at 12%. Hence, I call Mr. Tension as a cap buyer and I'll call the helper as the cap seller. The idea is that if the rate goes above 12%, whatever loss is there will be suffered by Mr. Helper, and if the rate or the loss is less than 12%, the entire tension or the risk shall be taken by Mr. Tension. Now, example number 2. In this, Mr. Tension has not borrowed. He has actually deposited 10% at a floating rate. Next day morning, 9%. Happy or sad? Sad. Next day morning, 8%. Happy or sad? Sad. Next day morning, 5%. Very, very sad. Now, Mr. Helper will come to help. Mr. Helper will tell to Mr. Tension, don't worry, buy a floor. Once you buy a floor, if the discount rate or the rate of interest goes below 8%, whatever loss will come over there, I will suffer the loss. So, friends, here the Mr. Helper will become the floor seller and Mr. Tension will become the floor buyer. So friends, are you clear with the concept of the word cap? Are you clear with the concept of the word floor? Now tell me, what is the concept or logic of the word collar? Friends, collar comes in middle of cap and floor. Doesn't mean it is the average of cap and floor. Collar is a combination of cap and floor. Ideally, there can be 4 combinations now. Even before I go to that, let me ask you a question. Why is this Mr. Helper doing so much of charity service? Friends, he is not doing charity service. For this, he will collect premium. So the buyer will pay premium to the seller. Alright? Let me go to a fresh page now. There can be 4 combinations of collar. First one is buy cap, buy floor. Second one is sell cap, sell floor. Third one is buy cap, sell floor. And the last one is sell cap, buy floor. Alright friends, I hope you are clear with the logic of the word interest rate options and also you are clear with the logic of the word cap, collar and floor. Thank you so much.